Hello, 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 and welcome to today's episode of Her Version. This podcast is dedicated to sharing stories of struggle and triumph, a platform that allows individuals to tell their truth in order to inspire and uplift others. For those of you that are new to this podcast and like content like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you follow, like, and share. I am your host, Sabrina Victoria. Let's jump right in. Hello, 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 and thank you for joining us today for this version of Her Version. This platform is built on storytelling and the understanding that many times our greatest learning experiences come from listening to other people's stories. Today, I am speaking with an amazing woman named Elizabeth Burrows. Have you ever wanted to edit your life? I know I have. Not make it over, not delete it entirely, but just edit it just a little bit. Elizabeth is here today to talk about her journey through not feeling adequate as a woman, a wife, or a mother, her struggle with expectations and feeling alone. Today, we are talking real life, the ups and downs of just everyday life, what it means to struggle, and why struggle isn't necessarily a bad thing. I want to welcome Miss Elizabeth. How are you? Did you have to change any beliefs to get to where you are now? We talk a lot of times in the coaching arena as far as limiting beliefs. And to get from where you were to where you are now, did you have to alter any of those beliefs?
Oh yeah, a
Which one?
lot,
Tell me
a lot.
tell me one main one, or two main ones, whatever you want.
I used to be really deep into the belief of I'm not enough. And I carried that belief with me everywhere. I carried it with me to work. I lived there in my marriage. I carried that, in motherhood. I carried it into my family relationships, into my friendships, and that belief I'm not enough actually prevented my business from growing as fast as maybe it otherwise would have. That belief was one that I had to dismantle and disrupt in order to be where I am now. And it's funny that you say this because so I'm a person that doesn't do New Year's resolutions. I choose a one word for the year.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. And my one word for 2022 is complete. Yeah. And when I found that word, so I don't just pick random words. I wait for God to drop a word into my spirit, and then tell me what it means for me. And when the word complete came to me for 2022, I was like, oh, this is so different than where I've been, because it's about believing in sufficiency. It's about believing that I already have everything that I need. It's about believing that even the things that I do need that I don't have yet are on their way. It's about believing that I have a complete skill set to succeed at being a coach. It's about believing that I have complete love to be able to be the kind of wife and mom that I want to be. It's about believing that I am already a complete and whole person, and I am not broken. I don't need to be or anyone else other than who I am, and I am enough for the life that is ahead of me.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love
that. Yeah. So, and it's so funny because I never could have believed 4 years ago. I never could have believed that. I would have argued with that thought. I just would have been like, yeah, absolutely not. And here's why. I have all of these reasons why I'm not enough. That would have been my thought process 4 years ago. Yeah.
Too funny. I want you to talk a little bit about your definition of editing your life and your business and what you do.
Yeah. Okay. So it's so funny. I came up with the term life edit project for my business. Really, I kind of stumbled into it. At the time, for whatever reason, I was very not obsessed, but I was very influenced by all of the extreme makeover shows that were happening. I feel like at that time, like Extreme Makeover Home Edition was like the big thing that was on TV. And people were still talking about extreme makeovers and all that stuff. And I was kind of grossed out.
Swan.
But no.
The Swan was like, women would come in, lose weight, get a complete makeover, hair, makeup, outfit, and plastic surgery.
Yeah.
So they literally were totally like insane. Okay, so go ahead.
Yes. So that whole thing, right? So this was happening with people and this was happening with houses, right? And I remember just being so grossed out by the concept of, one, feeling like you can't be you, right? Like I felt like shows like that were sending the message that all you have to do is change everything about you and then your life will be great. Right?
Yeah.
And the whole, like, the other thing that made it so unappealing to me was that for most people, being able to make all of those sweeping changes all at once was completely unrealistic. Who has the resources to be able, right? Like, and not just money, but time, because you have to take time away if you're going to step out of your life, buy a whole new wardrobe, buy a whole new body, right? Make over here, like all of that stuff takes time.
Yeah.
And it's like, and significant resources, right? And it's like, who has the resources to completely stop their life, hit a reset button, wait for the change to take place, and then like resume? Like, who can actually do that?
Yeah.
That level of transformation is not just unrealistic, but it's inaccessible for most people. Yeah. And I felt like people were being sold on this dream that didn't even exist. And so I was just appalled, right? But more than that, once I started getting into like the world of mindset, and I realized that nothing in my life needed to change, that I just needed to shift, right? That tiny shifts in how I was thinking drastically changed how I felt in my life, right? And that was it, right? It wasn't that I needed life to be different. I wanted to feel different about the life that I had. And I was like, it's not everything else that needs to change. Like, I just need little shifts. And I was doing a lot of writing, both creatively and in my job. And so I thought about editing and I was like, oh yes, this is very much like the process of editing, right? It's not about like scrapping the whole paper and throwing it in the garbage and starting over from scratch, but you can make huge, meaningful changes by rearranging the order that something is in, by tweaking a word or two. You can delete a sentence, you can add some punctuation, right? Like, there are so many different things that you can do to refine and improve what is already there. You don't need to like scrap everything, right? And I was like, yes, so why can't we do that like with ourselves and with our lives? And I was also really into kind of the DIY movement. I'm a crafter at heart. And so I was thinking about DIY and I was always working on different projects, right? And so I was like, oh, my project, like my DIY project is really just my life and myself, right? And so I mushed all of those together and came up with the Life Edit project. But I was like, this is the approach that I want to use to help other people make changes, because I didn't need to become a whole different person. I got to completely and radically alter how I felt in my life by just making a series of edits, like small, tiny edits that drastically changed everything. Yeah. And everybody can make a little tweak, right? Editing is completely accessible. Yeah. So that is how I land there. And I really do use that approach in working with clients. I I like to help clients first just like be aware of what's there. So kind of mindfulness and awareness is one of the first things that I will work on with folks, because you can't make any decisions about what it is that you want to change or how you want to edit it if you are not aware of what your starting point is.
Got it.
So so that is huge to my approach of working with folks. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And I think you're so right. I can definitely go back and remember times in my life where I thought, I wish I could just stop everything and just work on this one thing. And that's not realistic. You can't.
It's often not, right?
Yeah.
And so if it's not realistic, then let's stop trying to solve the problem that way, right? Let's find a different way. What does work? What are our choices? What are our options, right?
Yeah.
What can we do with what we have?
Exactly.
Let's instead of believing that it's not enough, and that we need something different, let's believe that what we have is enough, and we just get to relate to it differently and tweak it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that the whole storyline, as far as this platform that's being created here with her version, is very much that. It's not stories of, hey, I was able to concentrate on this one issue solely. The story comes from, this happened, and while this happened, also these 4 other things happened.
Yep.
And that's what creates the resilience. That's what creates the your ability to be able to get through the struggle, create confidence, and thus courage, to be able to navigate through your life as you're going along. And I actually, while you were telling that story, I was thinking to myself, what a disservice to those people, because now in their life in real time, they're coming across challenges. And they're going to revert back to that time when they were able to take 3 months or 6 months off in order to concentrate on this one thing. And that's going to hover and almost discourage them from really being able to make shifts in their life going forward, because they're always going to revert back to, oh, if I just had 3 months or just had 6 months to dedicate to this, then I could, versus,
right.
I did this through all of this.
Yes.
So it's, I actually kind of felt empathy while you were speaking for these individuals, and they're probably not all like that, but I'm certain that there are some that do that go back and say like, hey, I can't accomplish this because I don't have 3 months to take off. That's how I do things.
Absolutely.
I love
absolutely.
that.
Yeah.
Very nice. Rethink a solution. Okay. I love that.
Yeah. Rethink a solution, right? So if we are constantly, so I was actually talking with clients about this, I think as recently as yesterday, getting the diagnosis right for what's actually bothering us or challenging us is incredibly important, because the diagnosis influences the cure, right? It informs the cure. Yeah. So when we think about, or when we tell ourselves that we have a certain kind of problem, when we tell ourselves, I don't have a good marriage, right? Or I'm married to the wrong person, then the solution we're looking for is being with a different person, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if we start to think about our situation as being, I'm not in the kind of relationship that I want, or I'm not getting the kind of intimacy that I want, right? Well, now we have different solutions that are available to us. So the cure for not having the kind of intimacy you want is to find ways to deepen and enhance intimacy, right? And you can do that with whoever you're with if you choose to do that, right? So instead of beating your head against a wall that is, a solution that you're convinced does not exist for you, find a solution for what does.
Yes. I love it. If people wanted to find more about you, can they go to the website? Is that your website right above here?
Yes, that is my website, lifeeditproject.com. And I'm on social media. My handle is @lifeeditproject, all one word. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter as well. I'm probably the most active on Instagram, but I've also got kind of a nice archive of previous Facebook lives on my Facebook page that are nice and juicy to go through. Yeah, for sure.
I love it. I love it. Well, I want to thank you so much, Elizabeth, for being here. I also want to thank those of you that are hanging out, watching us live right now. And for those of you that were leaving comments and questions and stuff like that, we always appreciate the collaboration here while we speak. For those of you watching on the replay, make sure you hashtag replay before you jump off so we know that you were here and what platform you were watching us on, and we can shoot you some love. Yes. Elizabeth, do you have any closing thoughts before we wrap up?
I want everybody to be able to own their own power. You have power no matter what situation you're in. And the key to accessing your power is to own the choices that you have. So make some decisions. That's the first start.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much. This wraps it up. This wraps it up. Thank you so much again for another awesome episode of Her Version. This community is expanding every single day and it's filled with females who are striving to do better than they did yesterday. For those of you that are new to this podcast and like content like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you follow, like, and share. If you have an amazing story to share of struggle to triumph, be sure to reach out to me here or at the herversion.life website. I am your host, Sabrina Victoria, and I'm so grateful to be here sharing a platform that allows people to share their truth and inspire others. As